Okay. I did not read chapter 9. I did not get to it. So that's my confession tonight. I didn't even finish no, 7, 8. It's 7, 8, right? Thank you. Okay. I did not read, let me check. I did not read chapter 8. I've read part of chapter 7 today. I didn't do any reading last week. So at some point in the next 25-ish minutes, I will not be able to talk through chapter 8 as well. And I would love for all the other people, hi baby, to give their feedback. Obviously, chapter 7 as well. Okay. I have something underlined in the first chapter, in the first paragraph of chapter 7, where it says, successful people understand this. They value practice and develop the discipline to do it. So I have underlined successful people practice. Yeah, successful people practice. Successful people do it. So not saying I'm going to do something, but actually going and taking action and doing whatever those things are that I need to do in order to achieve success. Okay. This is open mic here, so anybody wants to share anything? Hang on 1 second, I need to mute myself. Go ahead.
I like that it said there were 4 words that those people put in a little bit more. That was it, successful people principle. And I also liked, I'm going to go ahead and talk more because she's not here. And I don't remember what page this was on because I read the PDF and I just took notes. But how do we grow and develop? And it's through practice. If you don't practice, you shortchange your potential. And I like that, the practicing. And that's something that I would like to do. I tried doing it a while back, but this is something my daughter does in their affiliate marketing group is they get together and they actually practice and they talk to each other and role play and like objections and all that kind of stuff. So I want to do that again.
I have underlined. Oh, this is probably what you just said, Auntie Heidi, and I'm sorry because I missed the first part. I heard you say they practice with each other. Abigail's affiliate marketing group does. But I have underlined, how do we grow and develop through practice? People refine old skills and acquire new ones through practice. I feel like that when I think of refining something in Plexus, for me, I feel like I work on refining like how I communicate, have message back and forth with people. How do I follow up? Wording I use, I just constantly like working on little ways of doing that. And kind of like what Julie said in our chat today, how she messaged about asking when will be a good time for them to be ready to start Plexus kind of a thing, because that's what I did with her. And that's what I started doing at some point where I realized, or I don't remember where I heard it from. I don't remember, but it's been for quite a while I've done that. And that was just another refining thing. Because way back in the beginning, I didn't know how to follow up. I just, you know, you just do it. We do it messy and we learn.
Kind of going along with that too, like it was towards the front part of the chapter, I guess, about how, you know, just looking at your performance in different areas, right? Like it can always be improved. So like even like small practices, if you consistently practice them, it's going to produce results, even if it's like something small. You know, it's kind of like the whole like 1%, it's like the compounding effect. I mean, it's like if you just do a little bit, that's what makes, and like over time, like consistency over time. This is what I tell people even with taking their products. I was like, if you just give it time, you're consistent with it over time, it's going to make a difference. But you just have to kind of embrace the process, even if things are not like immediately apparent or whatever. Like you don't see all these wins immediately or whatever. Like you'll still see them. Like, I mean, it took me 6 months of taking triplex to like wake up one morning and not have numb tingly arms. But it's because I took triplex for 6 months, you know, and like at the end of that 6 months, it was like I woke up and realized, hey, I slept through the night. I hadn't done that in years. You know, I mean, it makes a huge difference. So, I mean, I think that that's something that applies both to our business and to the, taking the products, obviously, too. So, even making little incremental changes will add up.
Well, I think about when I'm helping a new person who's just starting to share about the business, and they come to me and we're kind of walking through the next step, like as they're talking to somebody. And for me, it comes naturally what to say or what question, but for them, it's all new and it does take practice. And over the years, we can always improve our performance by learning new tips in leader chats or doing Bob Heilig trading or ways to improve the way we talk. But we got to start somewhere. And with practice, we do get better.
Yeah, and I love this part on page 74 where I've underlined the best way to make practice exciting is to think of it in terms of discovery and development. And I wish as a child I had known this when it came to practicing piano. Because today I read that and immediately I actually didn't think of Plexus. I thought of practicing piano. I was like, oh, that would have been really helpful for my brain. So, anyways, because yeah, that whole like discovering even just discovery sounds exciting. It has such a positive feel to it. And that's a completely different way of shifting how we view practicing or communicating, following up, doing those actions instead of being like, "Ugh, I have to do it." I have something else underlined on 75. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. That habit is developed during practice. And I wrote down below that, after it says we are what we repeatedly do, I wrote below not what we say we will do, not what I say I will do. It's so easy. And I know that we've all run into this, I think, to some degree with ourselves and then with other people who we want to work with, who we bring onto the team, and they're like, yes, I want to do this. And you hear it a lot. They're like, yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. But it's almost like we have to, okay, let me use myself. I have to use discernment to see is that person actually following through and putting in the action for me to continue spending the time coming alongside that person and taking time to work with that, like check in with them, coach them, or are they only saying words and are they not actually following through on these work activities that they keep saying they want to do? So that's a side note of it's you have permission to discern when someone on your team keeps saying things, but they are like they're not following through with the things so that you can lovingly pull back and look for not little, but other places on your team where there is action taking place and pour into those spots. That's a side note. That's your permission to do that. Because it's very easy to give a lot of time to someone who does a lot of talking and will jump at having a phone call with you. But if they are not actually producing results over a period of time, like results are enrolling VIPs, it's basically enrolling at a minimum, enrolling VIPs. Like if they're not doing that, then you want to really discern, should I be spending this much time with this person? You know, okay. I digressed. Anything else?
That whole concept really goes nicely into 76. And like this is something that I personally struggled with for a long time, like that whole concept that Melody was just talking about. There is no use trying to help whatever people who do not help themselves. You cannot push anyone up a ladder who is not willing to climb himself. And it's so hard for us sometimes because like I know I'm not the only one, but like we see something special in people sometimes and we're like, oh my gosh, if she would just do this, she would be so amazing. But then they don't do it and you're like, just do it. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And like then they don't. And it's frustrating for us, but like even for me personally, it took a long time for me to give myself that permission to just be like, they have to do it when they're ready. I can only push so hard.
Yeah, I have that section underlined too. Because actually, Jillian and I were talking about that today with somebody on her team, one of her level ones. And in regards to the products, actually, somebody who had purchased a bunch of products and then really has barely used them. So, but says they want weight loss and all sorts of other things. So it goes along with the products too. You can't make anybody take their stuff. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I have starred on the bottom of 77. As you practice, make excellence your target and give your best to achieve it. If excellence is your goal and you arrive at it, you will be satisfied even though you never achieve success. I found that very fascinating to think about because we talk more about success, but success is a result of excellent habits or excellent work and habits that have become disciplined, right? I'm super curious if anybody has any thoughts on that. Well, and then before that, it says success bases our worth on a comparison with others. Excellence gauges our value by measuring us against our own potential, which is what we should always be comparing ourselves to, not comparing ourselves to another person, because that can steal our joy. Okay, anybody else?
I like the part where it said that set your standards high, even if you think no one else is looking. Because I mean, you just never know when someone sees something in you that you don't see in yourself.
That is really good. I didn't get that far in reading. Thank you for pointing that out, Jane.
Can you tell me where that was, Jane? That is really good.
Oh, sure. I didn't mark. I think it's in pillar 4. I don't have the page.
Yeah, it's I see it in part of 79. It's like in the middle of 79.
I really loved the part before that on 78. He was in a Q&A session and someone asked him how to develop future leaders, and his response was find potential leaders. I was like, ah, like it was like a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, yeah, like we can't find leaders, but we can find people who want to become leaders and then help develop them from that point. So I really, that was like a light bulb moment for me.
Okay, so I was reading at the top of 79. Again, I haven't read this far, so this just like stood out to me as well. About potential. And he likens it to having potential works exactly opposite from the way a savings account does. The longer you leave potential untouched. No, that's not true. The money. The money. He's talking about the bank account. Okay. But when it comes to potential, the longer you leave your potential untouched, the more it decreases. If you don't tap into your talent, it wastes away. That is so true. Huh. This is so interesting because further down, he says, you can tell that you're not making the most of your potential when the standards set for you by others are higher than the ones you set for yourself. I feel really convicted right now. Anytime you require less of yourself than your boss, your spouse, coach, or other involved person does, your potential will go untapped. Okay, anything else, you guys? What time is it? 7:49. Who read chapter 8? Let's see what stood out to some of you in chapter 8. Ooh, I already have one and I didn't even read the chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, that first paragraph, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
all
then,
about perseverance and staying power.
Yeah, the whole like think things through, then follow through.
that one.
I'm like, oh,
Hi,
oops.
can you give me shorts? No?
Because just a second. I will think things through. More so like it's like for me, I will overthink planning an event, getting together with people like locally. I'll be like, yes, this is a good idea. And then I don't do it. This is full confession. Adam actually talked to me about it today. He's like, so what am I gonna do with those drink walls I made for you? I'm like, I will use them again. He's like, when are you gonna use them? I will use them in April. He's like, where are you gonna do it? I'm like, I'll go rent the place again. He's like, okay.
I feel like even like when we get off training calls, like we spend so much time like thinking about everything that we just absorbed that we never take that and actually implement it. Just something that I used to do personally. So felt a
Yes.
little bit attacked in that paragraph, just a little bit.
There are quite a few things in this chapter that stuck out for me. It was talking about Walt Disney going to 300 banks before he got a yes. And I think I would have given up on maybe the fifth one. Like I can't imagine 300 banks. But successful people, you know, fatigue and discouragement are not signs to quit. That was like, because I think especially in the Christian community, you're like, well, it must be a sign from God that you're not supposed to be doing this, you know, kind of a thing. And if you have the habit of giving up, you need to overcome it to be successful. and you can't get much done in life if you only work on the days you feel good. That was like, hit me, yeah, hard reading that one.
And that's true because that part is convicting for me as well. You can't just do this on the days where everything is hunky dory or you feel like it. I can't do things on the days where I feel like it because not much will get accomplished. Where's that part about Walt Disney? Oh, there it is. I just found it on 88, I think.
That's interesting because you said you wouldn't quit. You would maybe have quit after 5 banks. I mean, you would 300 banks. Yeah, like you could have gone through 200 and been like, well, this is a sign or something.
Yeah, 300 is pretty intense.
Yeah, if that was like my brother, I'd be like, obviously, this is a no-go. Like, call it a day. But wow.
But there's a part where they say you never know if the next time is that time. So if you stop, you won't know if you're successful.
I love that, Jane. Like the next person you ask might be the future diamond who's gonna run with you. So
I have to talk myself out of like sometimes like before I get my head right, I used to have to tell myself that like if I give up today, like that person might be there tomorrow that I'm gonna miss out on. Like I'm an idiot if I stop today because I could miss out on this special person tomorrow.
Yes, that is really good. And I'm going to work to remember that when I think that I've sent out enough messages for the day, or if I'm hesitant to send out a message to certain people, because you never know. Because then what happens is for some of us, we find out later on like that so and so is doing Plexus, and we're like, oh, stink. I was going to talk to them.
It happened to me like 2 weeks ago. There was this girl who I've been wanting to reach out to, and I'm like, finally got the courage to do it. And she was like, oh, I've been using Plexus for like a year. And I'm like, oh, you have? You don't say. Shucks.
Happened to all of us, I think.
Yes.
but doesn't that make you want to be a lot more direct? Like just get to the point. Like sort the apples,
Yep.
instead of hope for the best and finally get around to asking them after
No.
you dated them for a month.
No, and we don't, no, don't do that, please. I have been sort of working, I don't say sort of, but like doing a couple of coaching calls with someone and who has said she's been working for a while and she's actually been on my team for a long time. So she knows how to work this. But I found out what the work was, and it was just general conversations. It was not actually clear-cut, straightforward messages about Plexus. And I said, you've got to change that. If you want to be bringing in income, you know better. So clear cut, ask people because people are going to get sucked up by somebody else.
Yeah, we wait for the perfect time and we get so caught up in the relationship building stage that
Yeah.
we're almost like, okay, is this like the right time? Like, how do I mention Plexus?
We just
Sometimes, like you said, we just got to go for it because they might be waiting for you to ask. How many times have we asked somebody and they're like, yeah, I've been thinking about this forever, but like, I just didn't know how to ask you. And I'm like, what?
we overthink things. Worst they're going to say is no or nothing. We're still alive and we keep going. I have something I want to read here. Our author Napoleon Hill says every successful person finds that great success lies just beyond the point when they are convinced their idea is not going to work. So that's like the story about Walt Disney having reached out to 300 banks. There are no shortcuts to anything worthwhile. None. Zero. I used to think there had to be, literally, you guys, I was a silver, I was a gold, a senior gold. In those 3 ranks, I would look for a literal magical key throughout watching tons of different training videos about how to rank up to Ruby and all these things. And I thought there was something I not like how I could do it better, but like I kept looking and listening to these people in Plexus about how to do rank ups, and I'm like, it's like nothing magical. It is doing the work, the small-ish, they're not small, but messages, follow up, rinse, repeat, offer people the business, rinse, repeat, until you finally get just those 1 or 2 or 3 people who suddenly pop up and you're like, what's going on? Okay. It happens, it compounds, but there is no magical stuff around people who do this. It's just rinsing and repeating the work activities. Okay, anybody else? We have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. No, we have 1 minute. Sorry.
Page 96, it is easier to move from failure to success than it is from excuses to success.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was a good one. I like that one a lot.
Oh. Yeah, because excuses is laziness.
Yeah.
I think it's
Mm.
well, partly, maybe I'm wrong. Partly laziness and partly I'm
I
not
think
sure.
like yucky brain stuff, like
Yeah,
just self
like just
doubt
not
and
believing.
fear and
You're not willing to like see what the problem really is, so you can't fix it because you're just making excuses. That's very good.
Mhm.
Well, we see this in our kids. If we have a child that is always giving excuses for why they can't do stuff, it's like I see right through all. I mean, this is just like it's just a ton of reasons why you're trying to excuse yourself, and it's just like not working. So obvious that you could have got these things done and you didn't. So it's the same with us.
I think sometimes it's being a little afraid of failure.
Yeah. Yep.
And not succeeding or the rejection, gee, I gotta get over that and just think they'll change their mind. It'll go from the no to the yes, as we always say.
No, that is true. That's part of the head junk. Yes. And so not junk, but the fear can be real. There are people that don't want to do this because they don't want to be rejected, and they also don't want to look like a failure or feel embarrassed or anything like that. Whereas I don't see it that way. I see it as someone who is choosing to step into something they've not done before and willing to get their hands dirty. And I call it failing forward, because you're learning as you make mistakes. There is no other way of learning, honestly. It's what we tell our kids with their schoolwork. They're like, get super disappointed over getting a few things wrong. I'm like, you have to get things wrong. You can't get it all perfect all the time. You're not going to learn anything. They don't like that part. Okay, one more. Anything else? We're going to wrap it up here.
I just liked the whole way that the chapter even ended, that you have to have the skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because how many people do we know who do have really good skills and talents, but like turn their nose up at this? Or they're like, nope, it's not for me. Like I tried. Their will is not strong enough. The people who are strong-willed in this, who are like, I totally see this happening. It's just a matter of time and me being patient and disciplining myself and doing the work activities. and personal development, and over again, rinsing, repeat, because their will is so strong. They know they will achieve success in this. All people who achieve and maintain success possess stamina. Ooh, that's a good one.
I think for me, part of my thing that I realized, if I reach out to a lot of people and asking them about Plexus, like on a consistent basis, then I have all those potential no's coming back at me. And it's almost like I think mentally, I can't handle that like 5-6 days a week. So it's like I'll kind of slack off because I don't want to hear it every day. And that's something that I just kind of realized that is that's a problem. Because I have to get over that. I have to be like wanting to look for those no's, and getting them, because that's part of getting to the yeses. So that's something I just realized about myself.
I love this because we are like helping to hash out things in our own heads and getting them out there and sharing them and then figuring out how to just act upon it. So that was really good too.
I dropped it in the chat, but I don't know if anybody's seen it. If you haven't read Go for No, 1,000,000% recommend that book. Emily Roberts recommended it to me at the very beginning of the year, and that was the first book I read at the beginning of this year, and it literally just like set the tone for me, my mindset for this entire year. So now I just blast out messages, and if you say no, like that's great, like somebody else is going to say yes.
Well, apparently it worked because your recruiting is insane. So now I need to go back and read that book.
It's such a quick read. I finished it in like 4 days because it's just fast and it's a short book and it's an easy, quick read.
Yeah, you're crushing it. That's awesome.
Yep. All right, ladies, we're gonna stop for tonight. Chapters 9 and 10 for next Monday night. The free PDF is in the chat, I believe, right, Janelle? You popped it in there a while back. Or if you need the book, you can do the book. So whatever works. But I need to get, oh, she fell asleep. I need to get her to bed. So, all right. Thank you all. See you later. Have a good night. Bye.